Oh, Kenshi, one of the OG Steam greenlight games and one of the success stories from that era of early development games for the Steam platform. Feels kind of weird to review a game that is now 8 years old, but this is a game that I've always kept myself coming back to in some way, shape, or form. I think we all have that game, right? Where we pick it up for like a 2-week bender and then we just drop it for, who knows, 10 months, 12 months, 24 months. I think we all have those games, and Kenshi's very much that for me. And I don't know if I'm the only one who looks on it with such positive reviews. If we look at the Steam ratings for both recent and all time, it has an overwhelmingly positive review score. So I think the question we have to ask ourselves is it worth the hype? Kenshi is an open-world sandbox, survival, base-building, Neapolitan ice cream RPG set in a dystopian world where you, the player, are put against insurmountable odds. Most starting scenarios have you play the role of a victim with no better chance of survival than a Grand Theft Auto hooker. The overall setting of this game is amazing and so unique. It's like Mad Max meets the Shogun, but you, as the main character, are still useless. The world, for the most part, feels like it has its own story playing out and you are just a pawn in the grander scheme of things. I've had this game since 2013 and have over 400 hours in it. I'm still finding new places to explore, new settings and factions, new stories that are being told or not told at the same time through exploration. This game does a solid job of telling at least part of the story but not really saying anything at all. It's just you experiencing it. The other positive about this game is the player development and the free will aspect of the game itself. Unlike most other RPGs I've seen out there, you really are able to build the character you want. And whether that's with your main character or one of your party characters, as long as you want them to focus on it, they can become proficient and amazing at whatever you put their minds to it. Does that mean that you want to be the best swordsman in the whole land, where you use either a katana or a saber to take down any foe? Yes, you can do that. You can spend the time and eventually no longer be that Grand Theft Auto hooker and actually be a true swordsman. Or if you want, you can be the best swordsmith or weaponsmith or blacksmith, armorsmith in the game. You can do that too and just sell your wares outside of your blacksmith shop. That is also possible. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this game to build the story that you want to play. As for the negatives, there are two for me. The first one is that, as I mentioned in the positive about how you are just kind of experiencing the world as like a side character, the lack of any main quests or questing at all does have a little bit of a downside. There seems to be something where you kind of fall into this cycle, or at least I fall into this cycle of, I start the game, I move around as like a true drifter, and then I start building up my little clan. I then settle my roots, develop a town, do some trading, do some raiding of other villages, and that's it. Rinse and repeat almost every game. And I know that's a little bit on me in terms of just playing better, playing differently, maybe really applying myself a little bit more to create my own story. But it does feel a little repetitive, and it does feel a little bit more of a wanting of some slight guiding hand to tell me what to do. The other negative I have is endemic of all open world games, and that is that the vast tracts of land in between points of interest without a whole lot going on in the middle. Kenshi does try to infuse this a little bit, where really the only interesting that can happen in between points is that someone wants to try to kill you. And that certainly does help it make it a bit more interesting when you're trying to traverse large quantities of land. But at the same time, it gets more annoying in later game, where all you are doing is trying to move somewhere and everyone is out to kill you. And so the vastness and the repetitiveness of encounters is just a little frustrating and can be more of a nuisance event when deeper into the gameplay. But that being said, those are the only two negatives I have about the game. And with that, I think that comes back to our question at the beginning of the video: is this game worth the hype? And the answer for me is absolutely it is. This is such a fun game. It's weird to think that it's an older game because it still feels so fresh in many different ways. And so if you are looking at it due to the Steam Summer Sale, or you ever see it go on sale, I highly recommend picking it up. And yeah, that's all that I have for today. This has been Last Pro Hekin, and take it easy, gamers.